Hi, this is Shira, and it's time to know your enemies. So today, I'm going to be showing off the expansions for the Masters of the Universe Battleground miniature game, which is awesome. I'm going to be showing off the expansions from the starter set. Now, the starter set, I've already done a video for. You can catch that in the description. I've also already done a how to play using just the starter set in the description. But now it's time to expand. You don't need to expand. The starter set has everything that you need to play multiple games. But if you're like wondering where in the world Beastman is next to Skeletor, he's in these waves. He's actually part of wave 1, Beastman and Scareglow, and there's extra things beyond, like portals that you can teleport from one place to the other in this particular wave 1. And more in these various waves that will show you all of your options currently, all of your options for altering your Evil Warriors army, because you only, again, need about 4 to 5 miniatures, and maybe you want to try out these different options. If you had any questions about what you see or anything that you think I missed that you'd really like to have an answer to, make certain to let me know in the comments below.
The Wave 1 box for the Evil Warriors Force has the models and stat cards for Beastman and Scareglow, like I mentioned, as well as the models for 2 portals, which can be summoned with one of the item cards that come in this set. The little rules pamphlet tells you how to place special terrain like the portals, and is the same pamphlet that you would have seen in the Masters of the Universe Wave 1 box, since each of these pamphlets have information related to the models in the kit they come from, but also are more generalized information to help answer some rules questions that may have come up. You can go onto the Masters of the Universe Battlegrounds website, which I'll link into the description, to check out these rules pamphlets in download form for free if you wanted to see them and update yourself on any rules you might not have previously known. Also on the website is where you'll find the up-to-date points costs for all of these expansion characters, the equipment and the items, and depending on your location, this may be where you could pick up the game for yourself. For those in North America, I believe they're still working on making it available beyond the campaign, but I'll add the campaign to the description as well, since you may be able to join late if you wanted to. So this is Scareglow, and doesn't he look great? He's from the comics and the action figure line, and was apparently incredibly popular back in the day. And why not, since a glowing skeletal specter who is invisible in the light, glows in the dark, and brings out the worst fears of anyone who faces him. I mean, Skeletor knows how to pick them. I'll give him that. In-game, he hurts his allies almost as much as he hurts his opponents by cursing them, but that makes him stronger, so you would have to think it out how best to play him and whom to play with him. But since some of the weapons and the fake cards that come in this set work with curses for obvious reasons, and some of the evil warriors just like being hurt, I think it will be great fun to figure it out. Beastman, for example, gets better when he is wounded. If he has at least 1 wound on him, he earns a mana on activation. If he has at least 3 wounds on him, he gets an extra action point. So he would work well with Scareglow, where you can determine when he gets the wounds. But then I think Beastman is a great character overall, really. His whip allows a free attack by spending 2 mana. For me, he kind of is a must-have, particularly if you're playing with Skeletor or Scareglow, since one gets mana when Beastman is hurt and the other hurts Beastman. Just poor Beastman. But that just makes sense that Beastman and Skeletor go well together, doesn't it? The last models in this wave box are these 2 adorable little portals, where you have a one-time use of the teleportal item card, which allows you to place these 2 portals down on empty hexes during the game, and each one has to be within 8 inches of the character that used the item card. They can become active the round after you set them up, and then anyone can use them to flit across the board, since the hexes adjacent to one portal count as being also adjacent to the other, which I think would be very useful to get slower characters where you need them faster, or give characters that you want to keep out of combat a place to escape to, just as long as you're aware that your opponent can use the portals too once they're set up. I like this idea a lot. You can only use 1 copy of an item card in a force anyway, so there won't be any instance where there are portals everywhere. The next wave kit is wave 3 for the Evil Warriors. For anyone who noticed, we went from wave 1 directly to wave 3. That is simply because wave 2 is the Legends of Britannia kit, which has not to do with the Evil Warriors, and that will go for wave 4 as well. So, wave 3 of the Evil Warriors has Whiplash and Stinkor in this kit, as well as a gas tank, which hampers characters in-game. I'll explain further when we get to that. Like before, this kit comes with not only these two characters and their iconic equipment, though, it also comes with generic item cards, equipment cards, and fate cards that any of your characters can use. And a handy rules reference sheet to explain any rules these characters' abilities may add to the game. So Whiplash is unique in that he cannot gain focus tokens on his own. Instead, whenever an ally of his receives at least one wound, he gains a focus token. That means he would benefit from Scare Glow, wounding his own allies, for example. Though certainly his allies will be wounded anyway, but it's something to note, and having flexibility of both a ranged weapon and a melee weapon without spending the points for both is handy. On the other hand, inside this kit there is this Grey Skull reliquary item, which you can either give to Whiplash and let him take a wound to gain a focus token on activation, or give it to an ally and when they take a wound, let him gain a focus token as well that way. So you have options. Stinkor is very well suited to be in a group with Scareglow since he gains mana whenever anyone has a debuff placed on them, though he also does that himself. It is certainly true to his lore that everyone is worse off staying close to him, chanting various kinds of debuffs, cripple effects, blinding effects, knockdown effects, and you could take advantage of that by either walking him toward a clump of enemies to weaken as many people as possible, or using him to heavily encourage a character away from an area you would like to control. His stink gun has the potential to blind people. He is the best character thus far at making enemies weaker. Okay, so the rules for the gas tank are in the rules pamphlet. Both how to place it properly on the board and how it'll affect the characters. You simply use the gas tank item card to lay a gas tank down, and the gas tank remains there until it's destroyed, like most other special terrain pieces. Any character within 3 hexes of the gas tank can only be activated as normal with fate or glory cards that have an initiative of 5 or lower. If you want to activate a character with a card with initiative 6 or greater, the stats of that card become 1 action point, no mana, and no bonuses. Now, the character placing the gas tank can place it up to 12 inches away, so that gives you plenty of leeway to place it in the middle of your opponent's characters while keeping your own characters free of it. With a little luck, that would put quite the damper on your opponent's plans for at least a little while by having them use lower initiative cards or by causing them to waste more valuable cards. I will say, that is not nice. This Wave 5 Evil Warriors kit has 3 characters in it. Webster, the spider fellow also known as the Master of Escape, as well as 2 hover robots, which in very He-Man fashion are named Hover Robot A and Hover Robot B, as well as extra item cards, equipment cards, fate and glory cards, and also has rules for playing in teams, 2v2, which I certainly am going to try in the future. I'm thinking the iconic Master of the Universe force with the Great Rebellion, so He-Man's force and She-Ra's force, against Skeletor's Evil Warriors and Hordak's Evil Horde. The kit also has a token just for Webster's ability, so you can easily keep track when he is playing hide and seek or not. Now, Webster is fashioned after the 2002 remake of Masters of the Universe rather than the original 1980s version. And I would assume it is due to the fact that the original version had very few visible spider qualities. But if you would prefer to the original Webster, just cut off the extra limbs. He likes to flank enemies in game with both his hide and seek ability, adding extra dice for flank attacks, and his power blaster, cursing his target if he gets great roll while he is flanking. His hide and seek ability also gives him great protection against ranged attacks, and even if he was attacked, his Master of Escape ability allows him to jump up to 4 hexes whenever he receives a wound. That could certainly be exploited if you had control over when he received a wound. The hover robots are identical in every way stats-wise, and there doesn't seem to be any need to bring both of them along if you just want to plop one of them in to round up the points. since these are roughly half the points cost of the other characters. Now, the back of these stats cards tell you exactly what type of equipment and items you can carry with you, and you'll find that these hover robots do not have slots for weapons, only a couple of trinkets. So these will purely be used as cannon fodder and objective takers, and maybe even physical blockades to keep melee-based enemies away from your characters. Just something to keep in mind. The last kit to show you is Skeletor with Panther. Much like it was for Battlecat, there is currently no model of Panther alone, which I suppose, like Battlecat, makes sense since Panther would unlikely ever be in combat without Skeletor. Now, this one, I'm not completely thrilled that the paws of Panther and the feet of Skeletor are part of the round base itself, as that does complicate matters for painting the models separately and then attaching them afterwards without seams. So alas, I attached Skeletor and Panther to the base, but I'm sure this is not something you want to repeat if you can get away with it, and you should instead do a sub-assembly. Still, they both have a lot of purple, so maybe I'll get away with it without too much trouble. This version of Skeletor also uses the Havoc Staff as his iconic weapon, though you do not get a second copy of the staff in this kit, so that's just from the starter set. This version costs about 50% more points than Skeletor alone, and I honestly don't know if I would choose this version over Skeletor, solo Skeletor, simply because I very much like the solo Skeletor's ability to teleport allies, and I just don't know if this version beats that one. But I am certainly going to give it a try and find out for sure anyway. And I'm sure that if this really is a little too costly for what it does, Archon Studio's team will inevitably alter the points cost or supply a new stat card for this in the future. I am unsure. Maybe I simply favor teleportation too much. All of the models you've seen painted today have actually been painted by Archon Studio, not me. So I'll be painting up my own copies one by one, and this one will be among the first to be painted. I still haven't decided on whether He-Man and Battlecat will be first, or maybe She-Ra and Swiftwind, whom I'll be showing a close look at in a future video when I cover the characters of the Great Rebellion Force. For anyone new to modeling, the tools I use to assemble these models include high-grade sprue cutters, a hobby knife to clean up any sprue parts still on the pieces, though you could instead use a mold line remover, and I assembled all the pieces together with extra thin plastic cement from Tamiya, which allowed me to seal up any seams as I was going, though all of these models were clearly designed to hide those seams just by the nature of how they are put together. So thank you, Archon Studio, for putting so much thought, besides their feet, into how you scoped the models. They are an ease to put together.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have you gotten a new evil warrior that you would like to play in this game? Do let me know who is your favorite villain in the Masters of the Universe. If you haven't seen Masters of the Universe, the original series already, there is a YouTube channel where you can watch some of these episodes for free. And there's a couple of movies of the old movies on their Masters of the Universe YouTube channel. So if you want to have glorious fun watching these old 1980s video series, oh my goodness, it's so much fun to watch it. It's adorable. I hope you enjoy that as well. And I will catch you in the next video. Okay, bye.